Whether eaten plain, dipped in salsa or guacamole, or loaded with chili and melted cheese, tortilla chips are considered a classic Mexican snack, even though they were actually invented in the United States. In the late 1940s, a tortilla factory in Los Angeles began cutting and frying leftover tortillas, unknowingly creating the first tortilla chips. And once they're made, they disappear fast. The process begins with raw yellow corn. Suppliers clean the kernels and dry them to about 14% moisture before shipping them to the chip factory. There, the corn is poured into large stainless steel kettles filled with nearly boiling water. Lime is added for several reasons. It acts as an antibacterial agent, enhances flavor, loosens the kernel hull, and allows moisture to penetrate the corn. Each kettle holds over 650 pounds of corn, along with nearly 200 pounds of water and lime. After cooking, the corn moves to soak tanks, where it rests for about 12 hours to absorb more water. Once the moisture level reaches 45% and the hulls soften, pumps send the corn to a washer that drains away the liquid, leaving behind fully hydrated kernels. Next, the corn enters a rotating tumbler with perforated walls. Powerful water jets blast away the loosened hulls. From there, a conveyor carries the corn to the mill, where an auger feeds it into stone grinders. The kernels are crushed between two stones, forming a smooth dough known as masa. The masa exits through a narrow nozzle spreading into a thin sheet. Rollers stamped with triangular dies cut the dough into shape before it enters an oven heated to 644 degrees Fahrenheit. In just 16 seconds, the dough dries enough to hold together. The intense heat traps tiny pockets of moisture, forming blisters that give tortilla chips their signature rough texture. From the oven, the triangles move straight into a fryer filled with 360 degrees Fahrenheit corn oil. After only 55 seconds, they emerge as crisp chips, lifted out by a mesh conveyor that allows excess oil to drain away. The chips then head to a seasoning tumbler. A light spray of corn oil makes their surface sticky, allowing nacho seasoning, made from powdered cheddar, Parmesan, Romano cheese, and spices, to cling evenly. Finally, the chips are sent to the packaging area, where precision takes over. Each machine uses 14 bucket-shaped scales to measure portions. When the correct weight is reached, trapdoors release the chips into freshly formed bags made from foil and plastic film. The bags are instantly sealed, cut, and sent on their way. From bucket to bag to bowl, this is how tortilla chips are made. The Swiss refer to this cheese as fromage d'alpage, a name that translates to cheese made from high mountain pastures. To create it, master cheesemakers retreat to their remote chalets high in the Swiss Alps, where they continue a centuries-old cheesemaking tradition that dates back to the Middle Ages. Fromage d'alpage is produced by cheesemakers who take their cows up into the alpine pastures of the Gstaad region in Switzerland for about 5 months each year. Every morning, the cows are milked for roughly 7 minutes using automatic milking machines. Each cow produces around 2.5 gallons of milk, made up of water, protein, and fat. After about 12 hours, the fat naturally rises to the surface and is carefully removed. A starter culture is then added to help preserve the milk and begin the fermentation process. Next, the milk is heated over a wood fire for approximately 20 minutes at a constant temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the temperature is just right, the cheesemaker adds an enzyme called rennet along with additional starter culture. After about 40 minutes, these active ingredients cause the milk to coagulate and form cheese curds. The curd is then cut into smaller pieces to ensure the heat remains evenly distributed. The cheesemaker continues stirring and cutting, blending the curds with the liquid until the curd fully separates from the whey. Only the grains of curd are used to make the cheese. An electric mixer completes the separation process. Cleanliness is essential at this stage, so the cheesemaker thoroughly washes his hands and arms, since even the smallest impurity could spoil the cheese. The mixture is heated once again for another 20 minutes, bringing the curd to the ideal texture for cheesemaking. Using cheesecloth, the curd grains are removed. From an original 80 gallons of milk, only about 66 pounds of cheese are produced. The cheesemaker then packs the curds into cloth sacks and places them into molds, pressing out some of the remaining whey by hand. 3 filled molds are placed into a wooden press, where a wooden block distributes pressure evenly to squeeze out more liquid. Each 22-pound wheel of cheese is turned over and pressed again to remove as much excess whey as possible. Too much moisture would negatively affect both the shape and quality of the cheese, so this process is repeated several times before the wheels are left in the press overnight. The following morning, the cheesemaker trims away the excess cheese that forms around the edges of the mold. As with every other stage of production, this step is done entirely by hand. The cheese wheels are then soaked in salt water for 24 hours to preserve them, harden the surface, and intensify the flavor. Afterward, the cheese enters a salting and aging process that lasts about 6 months. During this period, each wheel is turned frequently to ensure it matures evenly. After a final cleaning of the surface, the 22-pound wheels are placed on their sides to air dry. When properly aged and stored, they can remain edible for at least 10 years. And while this remarkable cheese is born high in the Alps, you don't need to live there to enjoy the rich and distinctive taste of Swiss cheese. The pineapple originated in South America, but through colonization, it spread to tropical regions around the world. Its scientific name, ananas, comes from nana, the word indigenous people used for the plant. The English name pineapple was coined by European explorers. 5 months after first bloom, and roughly a year after the previous harvest, the fruit is ready. In an age of health-conscious eating, deli meats continue to be a mealtime favorite. Almost everyone enjoys a flavorful sandwich or a sausage fresh off the grill. Today's premium deli meats are made from the leanest cuts of meat, contain no trans fats, are low in sodium and saturated fat, and use no fillers. To preserve traditional craftsmanship, some companies still prepare their deli meats largely by hand, following old-world methods. Sausage production begins with fresh cuts of meat fed into a grinder. The ground meat drops into a collection tub and is transferred to a mixer. Ice is added to keep the meat cold and fresh, followed by salt and all natural spices and seasonings. The mixer blends everything thoroughly. A worker then feeds a natural casing into a machine called a sausage linker, which fills, shapes, and links the sausages to the desired size. Inside the linker, meat is pumped into the casing and formed into uniform links. As the sausages emerge, they hook onto a conveyor system and head straight for the smokehouse, where they are cooked. After smoking, the sausages pass through an oven that eliminates any remaining surface bacteria. Once cooled, they are packed into plastic bags, date-stamped and vacuum-sealed, ready for store shelves. German bologna begins with a natural beef casing slipped onto a stuffing horn. A mixture of beef, pork, and all natural seasonings is pumped inside, and the ends are sealed with aluminum clips. To ensure even cooking and browning, a worker perforates the casing with a spiked paddle, allowing trapped air to escape. The bologna then spends about 8 hours in the smokehouse. Once fully cooked, it is sliced into uniform portions, packaged, and date-stamped. From traditional German bologna to a wide variety of sausages and specialty deli loaves, deli meats continue to be enjoyed by people all around the world. Olive loaf starts with a blend of olives, pickles, and pimentos. Salt and all natural seasonings are mixed with fresh ground beef and pork. A stuffer machine fills loaf pans with the seasoned meat mixture. Workers load racks of uncooked loaves into a smokehouse oven. After the initial cooking, which sets the loaf's shape, the loaves are removed from their pans. At this stage, only the exposed surfaces are browned, so the loaves return to the oven to cook evenly on all sides. The entire process takes about 10 hours, producing a classic European-style deli loaf. Pepperoni is made using a revolving horn machine that stuffs natural casings with a precisely measured blend of beef, pork, and Italian spices. The machine seals both ends of the casing before the pepperoni is hung on racks and placed in the smokehouse for cooking.